I've been a Zionist for longer than I've been an anti-Zionist. Then what are people around the world supposed to think when they see what Israel's doing to the Palestinians? There's no religion and people that are demonized more than Islam and Muslims. Zionism is antithetical. It's the opposite of Judaism. Historically, what's going on now has happened before, that student movements have, I think without exception, always been on the right side of history. Oh, sorry, Habibi and
Habibti.
Habibti. Jewish Israelis have been conditioned since they were born, since they were children. They don't know anything else but the dehumanization that Zionism has taught them about Palestinians. See, the whole thing, it's so absurd to call any Jewish person a self-hating Jew for simply criticizing Israel.
Hey Gary,
Hi.
how are you?
Good, thanks, and yourself, Issam.
I'm fine, thank you. Who are you? Why you are here?
Okay, so my name is Gary Berkowitz. I'm part of an organization called South African Jews for a Free Palestine. I'm here specifically at this conference, and I'm part of the organization, South African Jews for a Free Palestine, because of my Jewish identity and because of the Jewish principles and values that I grew up learning about, which really is about standing with the oppressed wherever they may be, really respecting and valuing the sanctity and value of life, justice, charity. Those are the fundamental Jewish values and principles. And I would say of any religion, I would say any religion has those same values and principles. So I grew up in a Jewish household.
Okay.
I actually started learning about World War II and the Holocaust from a very, very young age. I started learning about it from 10 years old. I've been a Zionist for longer than I've been an anti-Zionist.
Oh, okay.
In fact, I believe that if you're Jewish and you're born into a Jewish household, or you go to a Jewish school and you have Jewish education, I believe it's basically impossible to not start out as a Zionist and then start to learn that what we've been taught about Zionism is actually, it's not only false, but it's antithetical to Judaism as a religion. The propaganda and the reach of Zionism is so strong, and its reach is so far that unless you're actually born into a household where your family are activists, a Jewish person will start out as a Zionist, because the only information that they're being presented is that of Zionist propaganda. And I would say that's the same with any kind of propaganda. If you only are learning about one particular set of information, how are you supposed to think or act otherwise?
So you're in a bubble.
You're in a bubble.
You were a Zionist, as you said, and now you're not a Zionist. How? How did you do it?
So look, it took a number of years for me to unlearn that conditioning, that programming from Zionist propaganda that I'd gone through, where I accepted the narratives of Zionism as true, as the truth. So I'll just say, like, where I would say I started being a Zionist is, I mentioned a little bit earlier, I started learning about World War II and the Holocaust from the age of 10. And the themes of World War II and the Holocaust were themes of propaganda, conditioning and programming, dehumanization, and then genocide.
You were in Israel at that time? Or?
No, I was in South Africa.
This propaganda here in South Africa?
Yes.
So you were a Zionist here in South Africa, and
yes, I was a Zionist.
And this indoctrination was here.
Yes, it wouldn't be as strong as in Israel, because
Okay.
Israel has conscription. Everyone goes to the army. I would say that there's more propaganda and conditioning of people in any country's army than in just normal civil society. But Zionism it has such strong, far-reaching propaganda that you can be Jewish anywhere in the world. Not even you can be. If you are Jewish anywhere in the world, you will be subject to Zionist propaganda. So a big part of it is in learning about the Holocaust, Zionism has co-opted that, because Zionism conflates Judaism with Zionism, except Zionism is antithetical. It's the opposite of Judaism. The principles and values of Zionism are the opposite of the principles and values of Judaism.
Would you say that Zionism is anti-Semitism?
I would say that Zionism creates anti-Semitism. I
Okay.
would say that the state of Israel, especially with the genocide they're committing. I would say that Israel's history, where they always say they speak for all Jewish people, they represent all Jewish people. So if you're having a country like Israel, a regime like Israel, where they claim to speak for all Jewish people and represent all Jewish people, but then they dehumanize an entire nation of people, they dispossess them, they oppress them, they maim and murder them with impunity, and now where it's been ramped up into a genocide against one of, if not the most oppressed and vulnerable people in the world, it follows logically that that's going to create anti-Semitism. Because if you say this is Judaism, we represent all Jewish people, then what are people around the world supposed to think when they see what Israel's doing to the Palestinians? It just follows logically that then it's going to create anti-Semitism. It would be like if you had to take Nazi Germany. Now, Nazi Germany didn't represent all German people, but they said they represented all German people. So a lot of hatred of German people would have come from the Nazi Party and Nazi Germany. I mean, for as long as Zionism has existed, and Zionism is a political ideology that's not even 200 years old, whereas Judaism is a religion which is over 5,500 years old. As long as Zionism has existed, there's been Jewish anti-Zionists. Albert Einstein, Aaron, sorry if I'm just forgetting her name, Aaron Rand. There's been prominent Jewish anti-Zionists since Zionism has existed, which I think gives credibility to Zionism is not Judaism.
Would you blame a Zionist, let's say youth, a Zionist young man or woman today for hating or for like hating maybe the Palestinians or kind of that? Or would you say like, okay, it's not only their fault?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I would say that it's the ideologies, it's the systems, it's the people in charge and pushing those ideologies and systems that are at fault. It's human beings, we are able to be conditioned. As far as I'm concerned, that shows us that we are also animals. So just as you could condition a dog to only eat when you say eat, any human being's mind can be conditioned. So the fact that Jewish people outside of Israel, and more specifically Jewish Israelis, have been conditioned since they were born, since they were children. They don't know anything else but the dehumanization that Zionism has taught them about Palestinians from day one. How Zionist Israel, and not just Zionist Israel, but the Western world, there's no religion and people that are demonized more than Islam and Muslims. And Muslim people are just like any other people in the world. There's no difference. We have the same fears, we have the same wants and needs. We are all the same species. But then when you have these ideologies, which you can compare and contrast to apartheid South Africa, where they were claiming to be the chosen people. They were saying that black people are not real human beings. They're not allowed to vote. Except I believe the dehumanization of Palestinians actually outweighs the dehumanization that was done towards black people and anyone that was not white.
Why? Why do you think that?
And this is, I'll tell you why. And this is actually something very. So I was saying I used to be a Zionist for longer than I've been an anti-Zionist. When it came to Israel, when I thought of Israel, I used to have nothing but pride. But now and for many years, when I think of Israel, I've got nothing but shame and disgust, because
you really felt like you are chosen one. You're better than all the others.
No. So I've never felt I've never felt like a chosen person. I think that's a very problematic.
Okay.
So even though we might have heard that here and there, that wasn't a big thing growing up as a Jewish person in South Africa.
Okay.
Here's the irony. I think there's more Zionists that think they're chosen than Jewish people that think they're chosen, and Zionism is not Judaism. So the way in which Zionism has distorted and manipulated Judaism it's an absolute offense to to anyone that actually holds their Jewish identity close to them, and I always have. To start learning about, a genocide that was committed against your people from a very young age is going to leave a mark. And the way that Israel does now and always has weaponized the Holocaust, that's an absolute offense and insult, I would say, to everyone that died in the Holocaust and all the Holocaust survivors, and just any Jewish people who hold dear their Jewish values, which again is the same values of any religion, any people. It's the same values of Ubuntu. What made me start to realize that Zionism is not what it's made itself out to be was when I came back from that tour, March of the Living. I was in Hebrew class, and this was a point in time where I'm still a Zionist, very much still a Zionist. I've just gone to Poland, I've just I've just experienced kind of firsthand in a way. I've had the experience of going to death camps and concentration camps. And then when I got back from this tour, I was in Hebrew class. And I said to the Hebrew teacher, and also to my peers, because they would be listening to me saying this to my Hebrew teacher, that I believe Palestinians deserve autonomy and sovereignty. Now, just to reiterate, I said that when I was still a Zionist. And just for saying that, just for basically saying, I believe this group of people deserves the right of self-determination, I was labeled as anti-Israeli and pro-Palestinian. So I think the cracks might have started at that point, but then it just became so blatant that Israel is not a good faith actor, does not follow, Israel as a country does not follow Judaism. And then the experience I've had, so I've been called a self-hating Jew.
Do you hate yourself?
No.
No?
No, I've
Really?
see, the whole thing, it's so absurd to call any Jewish person a self-hating Jew for simply criticizing Israel. It's such a weak, knee-jerking reaction because there's nothing more substantial that people can say. So they'll just say you hate yourself. It is so absurd. I've always been proud of my Jewish identity and because listen, you almost can't not be proud of something like that you have no control over. Like, did you choose to be born a Muslim?
Not in the beginning, not, but later you are choosing yourself being active Muslim, like you choose yourself being an active Jew, I think, because when you grow up and you understand a part of this world, you're not understanding everything directly, but you are choosing actively this way. And I think you have the same in every religion or every thing when you are growing up, or not. I think you choose yourself to be a Jew when you grow up again, let's say like that.
So I was just saying that none of us have any choice of the religion we're born into. For many years I've been called a self-hating Jew just for criticizing Israel. But in the past 6 months, by Zionists, Jewish Zionists I know, and Jewish Zionists I do not know, I've been shouted at, sworn at, insulted, threatened, and someone actually spat on me. I was wearing this shirt.
Here in South Africa?
In Joburg, in South Africa, yeah.
Okay.
I was wearing this shirt in a shop, and I was just buying some stuff to till, and then someone started shouting at me, saying you should be ashamed of yourself. And I basically said, for believing that everyone deserves equality and equity. And it's, I was trying to just engage with him in some kind of decent way, but he was shouting at me and swearing at me, and then outside when he drove away, he spat at me. So I think,
how do you feel then when you think like, okay, as a Muslim, I'm a Muslim, and I think like, okay, we have different maybe views in Islam, we have different maybe views even in Judaism, you have different ways how people choose to live their religion, right? How do you feel like, do you feel then really like, oh, maybe you're not Jewish, or maybe, I don't know, like you feel insulted in religion, or do you feel sad for the others? What do you feel?
I feel, look, it doesn't make me embarrass myself or concerned myself, because it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a reflection on those people, not on me.
Okay.
For someone to threaten me that I was at school with, because I'm criticizing a country that is indiscriminately bombing and killing innocent women, children, fathers, everyone. Criticizing a country that is completely decimating all the infrastructure that is needed to sustain human life. For someone to criticize me, for someone to threaten me, swear at me, spit at me, spit on me, for that is a reflection on them, not on me. And I also think it's a reflection on what Zionism is. Because if Zionism was such a open-minded, tolerant, peaceful ideology, then there wouldn't be all this aggression and intimidation and violence when people that are Zionists don't get unconditional support.
Have you ever met any Zionist who was nice to you, even though he knows
When I
that?
was still a Zionist. I mean, if I would go along and pretty much agree with what they're saying.
But when not, there is not a single Zionist who says like, okay, I agree with you. It's okay. It's your view.
The thing is, it's such a level of indoctrination. Zionism demands such unconditional, fanatical support and agreeing with it, that when you don't, people feel, and this is the whole thing about Zionism, it's intentionally conflated itself with Judaism since day one, that people feel like they are being attacked, that their own identity is being attacked. It's like when you criticize Donald Trump. If someone supports Donald Trump, they've made you might have heard the term identity politics, where they've made their whole identity around Donald Trump. So you can't criticize Donald Trump without them feeling personally under attack. It's a similar thing with Zionism. You can't criticize Zionism without people feeling like they personally are being attacked because they formed their whole identity around it. So Israel calls itself the only democracy in the Middle East, and they say they have the most moral army in the world. But it's very easy to make self-proclamations. Words don't mean much. It's the actions that define us, whether as an individual, a community, a political party, a country. And Israel's been arresting and imprisoning its own citizens. There was this history teacher that Israel put in solitary confinement for 30 days for doing nothing more than showing empathy and compassion towards Palestinian civilians, innocent people, people that are going through indescribable suffering. For any country to imprison one of their own citizens for doing nothing more than showing empathy towards another group of people that are suffering, that's not a democracy. Any democracy that actually functions as a democracy would allow any citizen to basically say whatever they want, as long as they are not as long as they're not saying they're going to commit a crime, they're not going to be violent, they're not going to hurt someone. Any democracy, by definition, should allow their citizens to basically say whatever they want. For a democracy to arrest one of its own citizens for showing empathy to another group of people, as far as I'm concerned, is an example of fascism. I've seen videos of Israeli police beating religious Orthodox Jewish people. And when I was watching this, it was the exact same images, the exact same video, the exact same, it presented to me the exact same like feelings and thoughts that I had when reading and witnessing Hitler's brown shirts beating Jewish people in Nazi Germany. It literally looks like the same thing. In Nazi Germany, you had these thugs that were beating innocent, peaceful Jewish people, and you can see they're religious Jewish people because they're not secular, they're dressed as religious Jewish people. And now in Israel, the same thing is happening. You're having the Israeli police, these thugs. The only difference is now, which is ridiculous, is you're having Jewish people beating other Jewish people.
Or Zionists are beating Jewish people.
Well, to be more specific, yes, Zionists beating other Jewish people, to be more specific. Here's the thing. Here's actually the real, and this is the most despicable thing in the world, is all of these people, they're all kind, generous, compassionate human beings, except when it comes to Palestinians. They will, if there was another country in the world that was doing to a group of people what Israel is doing to Palestinians, even if it was a Christian state or Jewish people that were oppressing other Muslim people, all these Jewish people I know, I'm certain, would be on the side of the people being oppressed. It's only specifically Palestinians that they have no empathy for whatsoever, that they've been dehumanized to such a degree that it's so easy for them to just have total apathy and to rationalize and justify everything that they come across or see or hear that's being done to Palestinians. Germany has unbelievably been on the wrong side of history with itself in the most horrific ways, time and again. It's committed a genocide in Namibia, which it hasn't even fully been held accountable for. It committed a genocide against Jewish people in World War II. It committed a genocide against the Romanis in World War II. And now Germany has been allowing and providing political cover to another genocide that's going on.
Do Jews look at Germany different than at other countries?
So again, I would say because of the reach and influence of Zionism, if not for Zionism, Germany would not be engaging in this way. If not for Zionism, America would be engaging in this way. But it's also, I think, really important to know that there are an exponential amount more of Christian Zionists in the world than there are Jewish Zionists. And Christian Zionism actually predates Jewish Zionism by hundreds of years. And Christian Zionism, at the basis of it, is the idea that all Jewish people must go to Israel and they either need to convert to Christianity or they'll be killed.
So it's anti-Semitism.
It's as anti-Semitic as something could be. So Christian Zionism in and of itself is anti-Semitic, and Zionism creates anti-Semitism because it operates against the values and principles of what Judaism actually is.
Gary, do you have any message or words for the students and for all the others who are protesting in Germany for Palestine or against genocide?
So I would say that, yes, that I admire you guys. You are incredibly brave and courageous to be on the right side of history, to go against the German state and the police force that they are meting out against anyone that has solidarity with Palestinians. It makes me realize how blessed and fortunate I am as a South African that in South Africa we can protest and we can go to solidarity events without the kind of machinations that Germany is doing. Historically, what's going on now has happened before, that student movements have, I think without exception, always been on the right side of history. And what's going on now is no exception. And not just student movements, but people that hold solidarity with other people around the world that are oppressed, vulnerable people, is something where time and time again the state's apparatus wants to stifle, wants to silence, because it's all about keeping the status quo.
Thank you very much, Gary. And we have learned one word today in Arabic, or two. Do you remember them? When you want to say darling to someone?
Sorry?
Habibi.
Oh, sorry. Habibi and
Habibti.
Habibti.
So Habibi is to a guy.
To a guy and Habibti is to a lady.
Yes.
Habibi and Habibti.
So Gary, you're my Habibi.
You're my Habibi.
Shukran. Thank you very much. And I hope so that we will see each other in Palestine, in free Palestine one day. And thank you for your words and for your engagement. In Arabic we say shukran. Maybe you know it, I think.
I've heard it. What does it mean?
Shukran means thank you.
Thank you. Shukran.
Shukran. So we learned Habibi, Habibti, and
shukran.
Shukran. Shukran. Thank you very much.
Thank you.